Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 12, recapping the week. As always, we are brought to you by our exclusive sponsorship partner, WinBet. It is a big week. The Team of Destiny had an amazing week, both between the Thanksgiving game and then this weekend, where you had 2 picks to make for your Survivor pool, Chris. This was a pretty darn good week for you.
It was sick. It was just beyond, and I can't even take it anymore. I can't even watch. I'm almost like I need to just set the pick, go to a bar, have a bunch of drinks, find out later. I can't even deal. And just remember this, like Atlanta, Jacksonville, I could barely watch. And, Atlanta was up 21-3. The closest Jacksonville got, well, they didn't even get to the 30-yard line, down 21-14 when they went 4 and out to end the game. And I was having a heart attack. And the thing is, what if they had scored and tried to go for 2 to win it? What if it had gone to overtime? Those things I was thinking about. I was like, if they go to overtime, I won't be able to deal with it, And so just for some background, so Dalton and I are in the, if you haven't, if you're not aware of this, are in the $6 million Circa Survivor pool. And so heading into last week, so before Thanksgiving, there were 134 people left. And we had used Dallas. We kind of had to take and the Bills. So we took the Bears. They barely won in the last second. And that was crazy in itself. But then Dallas lost in the evening, and there were suddenly 40 people left in the pool. And now after this weekend where there were no good teams, and I chose the Falcons and I stepped up. I don't know if you saw the video, Jeff. I made us take the Falcons. If you knowing what you know now, watch the pregame video that we made on Saturday night. You're going to be like, oh my God. Right. So we chose the Falcons of all the teams. There were 2.5, they were 2-point favorites, and they won.
Was this all you? Were you forcing this?
I forced it. I stepped up and I said, you know what I did? I was so adamant about taking the Falcons that in Dalton's pool, Dalton has his own pool. It's $100 to get in. It's 31 people. And it's Ted Bell and me, the last 2. Cousin Steve, rest in peace, or Uncle Steve, I guess. Dalton's Uncle Steve lost, so it's just Ted Bell and me are in the last 2. I said, I am so behind this pick that I'm going to take Atlanta over New England that I had available in that pool. I will take Atlanta over New England just to show you, just to have extra skin in the game, and I did. Unfortunately, New England won. Otherwise, I would have took down the whole pool. You should. I would recommend it's 22 minutes, but you'll get to the crux of it within 15 or 10 minutes. I recommend it. It was.
I will.
We didn't agree on the pick. Put it that way. I insisted we did Atlanta. He wanted the Niners, who actually won, but we can't use the Niners, so that wasn't really even an option. I was.
What do you mean you couldn't use them?
Well, because on Christmas Day we have to pick a team, and that in the Thursday, just like Thanksgiving, it's 3 teams, 3 games. And we've used up Green Bay, Cleveland, which is one of the games. And we've used up the Colts, and they're at Arizona. So we have Arizona still at home against the Colts. And then the other game is Tennessee Tennessee hosting San Francisco. And I said, we need to have 2 sides of a game. We don't know who's going to be hurt, what quarterback's going to be there. You need to have both sides of a game so you can have at least a favorite. And and if it's close to a pick 'em, you could take a dog if it's a 1-point underdog, like Detroit, Chicago. Ted Bell took Detroit, right? Like that you could do that in a 2-point game if you wanted to play pot odds or you just felt it was more likely. But what you can't have is not both sides of the same game when you have to pick 3 games. And you just say, okay, if we just had Arizona and Tennessee left, well, what if the Niners are favored in that game? What if Kyler Murray's out and the Colts are favored in that? I mean, you can't be drawing dead. You can't have it that like all the teams that you have available might lose that game. You have to have a chance to pick a winner. So I said, no matter what, for those standalones, we need to have both sides of every game, of one game, not every game, one game, so that no matter what happens when we get there, we've got minimum 50-50 and probably 60-40 minimum to get through. And so I wouldn't use the Niners or Titans until then. I mean, I would in an absolute emergency, but I wouldn't, I just think it's like you can't do that because you don't want to have 3 teams left where your equity's worth $2 million and you literally can't win. You can't do that. You can't do that to yourself. So it was really Atlanta or Houston were the 2 teams that we were thinking of. I mean, we could have taken the Eagles, I guess, but we should have taken the Bengals. Neither of us like the Bengals. We dismissed the Bengals out of hand, and it turns out that would have been the easy one.
That was a unanimous pick. That was one of the on staff picks. We all were on the Steelers to cover, and I'm sure I think Dalton made him his best bet too. But suffice to say, we were all wrong about that, and I've never been more happy to be wrong.
I mean, they killed them. They killed
me down. Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
I should have almost taken the Bengals because everyone was so adamant. Like, why? It was such a game. Like, it was 4.5 initially. It was like, why are the Bengals 4.5 point favorites over the Steelers, their arch rival in a tough division game? Like, why? How is that even? Cleveland stomped the Bengals. Like, why won't this be just like that? Well, Cleveland has a good offensive line for one. But so it was almost like the other way than you would assume. Everyone assumed one thing was the other thing. Anyway, we should use the Bengals. That was the one, but we didn't like it. And then once that was off the table, thank God I did not like the Eagles because the Giants always play them tough. And imagine getting knocked out by your own team. That would have screwed me up.
Yeah, you walked that tightrope once. You didn't want to have to do that again.
No, I mean, whatever. When it was a 10-point favorite, okay. I didn't want to. I let it happen because I agreed I let Dalton push us on the Chiefs, which was the right call. So anyway, there's 30 people left. It's a $200,000 entry now. And I just can't watch. I can't do it. It's just,
you have to watch. You have to. It's part of the ethos. You can't not watch, Chris.
People want us to live stream it. It's like, how NFL games go with referees and fumbles and slippery snaps. I'm here for the profanity. I'm here for the angst. I'm here for all of that. It's not profanity. Be there. It's not profanity and angst at this point, dude. It's so beyond that. I'm like making Sasha sit on the couch because Sasha's been good luck a bunch of times. Like she came in right before the miraculous Tucker field goal and Lamar Jackson conversion. She's been there like for all the key times. So I'm like, no, Sasha, come. You got to get back in. Get back in now. It's important. I'm like, I've gone crazy. It's too much money. As I told Dalton, we typically bet 120 grand a game, never 150, 200 a game. So this is really stretching the limits of what I can tolerate. And I wish I could say it was fun. It was actually fun until it got not fun. Until it got not fun. It's not fun anymore. It's too much, man. I can't deal with it.
Well, you had a lot of character building on Thursday with the Lions and Bears too.
Dude, the line. I mean, that game. But I was drunk because Thanksgiving and I was at a friend's house in the countryside. And it was just so epic, that drive. They used up the whole clock. They shut it down to 1 second, not 3 seconds. They took it down to 1 second.
One bad snap, it's all over.
Fumble, interception, anything, a sack at the wrong time. They just didn't mess up on the drive that took out the entire clock. The Lions, they're down 13-7. There's a 53-yard field goal from Cairo Santos. They make it 16-9. It's over. It's done. If they get a 2-score lead in the second half, no, he misses it. And of course,
he was woefully short too. I mean, it was amazing how bad Cairo Santos was. I was joking like, okay, they're inside the 20. There might be in Cairo Santos's range finally here. I mean,
nothing was a funny joke. Dalton, you got to see this video, dude, that we released on Saturday.
I will.
Dalton was talking about how he's killed for less than Aikman congratulating Matt Nagy on the win before the kick happened. Just like the worst.
Oh, no.
And it is. And then even Atlanta, I'm telling you, like Atlanta was up 21-3. Jacksonville gets an 8-point touchdown. So it's 21-11. Then they drive all the way down. Holding penalty, thank God, backs them up. It's 21-14. Then Atlanta can't run out the clock. They punt. Jacksonville gets the ball back with like 2 minutes left. But even they didn't even make it past the 30-yard line. And I was already like in a pot, just in a heap of collapse in a heap. Like it is getting to be too much, this $200K. And it was also worse because I was the one who just stepped up. I was like, I'll be the bad guy. We're doing this. Yeah. And it just came to me. Like I was thinking about it. I was meditating on it. I was like Atlanta's the right pick. And then I told that you can watch the video, but I said right when I was watching the Raiders game, one of the announcers, right when I thought Atlanta was the right play, one of them said something Atlanta, right when he just said Atlanta, the word, right when I said, and I was like, that's it. It's done. So you can see our process is very serious.
All right. Very good. Let me ask you this. Gets down to the last three, and somehow, you might not even be allowed to do it, but somehow, some way, you try to broker a deal where each of you get $2 million. Would you take it?
Yes. But Real Man doesn't. There's no reason to his team of destiny. Why would I split when I have the whole thing? But Yeah, I don't think we can do that. I mean, I'm sure if we knew the people and we got our lawyers together and we drew up some sort of contract, you could probably do it, right?
Right.
One thing that would be fun, if say, there were 10 people left, so $600K each, right? I was like, well, what if we each just got $200K and we played for $4 million, right? Like, okay, so we get 100,000 each, Dalton and I, and then it just becomes more fun at that point. It's like,
right.
But I don't, all this stuff's going to involve lawyers because I don't think legally with the gaming board in the terms of the contest that I don't think we can split it. So like,
right.
You're not going to just be like, all right, man, if I win it, I'll send you your $1 million. Like, no problem. Just give me your PayPal. It's not going to work. You need contracts for stuff like, when you're talking about this kind of thing. So I don't know that that's even a thing. And people are like, oh, dude, just hedge. Oh, really? Someone who could put $1 million on the underdog or on the underdog gets the spread like in cash. How am I get that money to Vegas? Like, yeah, I'll just put $1 million down. I'll just, how much is in your DraftKings account? Let's put a bill on the money line or whatever. I mean,
right.
I suppose theoretically we could do it. It's just like, this doesn't happen in 5 minutes now. With Bitcoin or something, you could do something this quickly, but holy shit, man. Just even that. I mean, it would be the sickest thing to do is let's say, we had like the Monday night game the last week and the guy before us lost. So we at least tie. And if we win, we got the whole thing. And we just like put like $1 million to cover the spread, and that way we could middle it, where the underdog covers but loses and we win the pool and we get the extra. Anyway,
right.
It's never wrong to be greedy, Jeff. It's never wrong to try to get more than the $6 million. But the point is like, we can hedge for like $3,000 pretty easily or something like that if we wanted to. I mean, maybe, we won $5,000, but I mean, is that really going to take the sting out of it? I don't know,
Yeah, that's right. It's just fascinating to think of all the permutations, all the possibilities there. And that's why everybody else is jumping on board the Team of Destiny bandwagon too. I mean, it's really interesting to see all that and see how close you can get to life-changing money and just to do that.
Just to be clear, it's not life-changing money for me. It's for Dalton it is because he doesn't have any money. $6 million for me, it's a nice vacation, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, well, okay.
Dalton,
you can rent a private island for a week. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, maybe more than a week. But I mean, dude, it's sick. It's been awesome, dude. I love the people on Twitter. There's people like, dude, I gamble, play DFS every week. I don't even care about that. This is the only thing I root for. Other people are like, I'm explaining this to my family at Thanksgiving. They don't care about sports. They don't understand why I care about this. Like all these people, my wife is into this. She doesn't care about sports now. They're saying, it is just like, it's just one of the best. It's just really fun.
And meanwhile, there's other people looking at those people like as if they're growing a second head or something like that. It's like,
I love it. Well, Also, there's also people giving me suggestions like, don't go Atlanta, go Carolina, go this, go that. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't mind.
Are you the Team of Destiny?
No, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like you're really giving the Team of Destiny advice. Exactly. So, you walking on to surgery that's happening. Be like, no, don't cut that vessel. Cut that one. No, do this. Do it that way. You got to understand what's going on, guys. This is. I told Dalton in the video, and I recommended. It's not. You're talking probability. I'm talking prophecy. That's the difference between the two of us.
Right. All right. Before we move on to the rest of the NFL, quick note from our friends at WynnBET. If there's one thing we appreciate here at RotoWire, it's making good decisions, and even more so, making the right decision.
Yeah, we do.
Like picking Atlanta, for instance. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with RotoWire's newest partner, WynnBET, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WynnBET is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. WynnBET brings you the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette. Double down in blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at Baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 6 states. It's actually 7 states. Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. WynnBET is currently offering all RotoWire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WynnBET, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcasts. Okay. Pretty soon, someday, this podcast will be brought to you by the Team of Destiny. Until then, though, it is brought to you by WinBet. We thank them for that. Let's talk about some of the other things that happened this week. The big week. We talked a little on the about the Bengals and the Steelers. The Bengals just ran it down the Steelers' throats. That's the thing that was blowing me away. It was how easily they were running the ball. They made an emphasis on running the ball last week against the Raiders, and that worked. And I guess it could have worked even more if the quality of the playing surface was better. But this week, oh my goodness, I have never seen a Steelers team get just run down their throat like that before. In fact, I think it set records for the amount of rushing yards they gave up in the first half. I didn't recognize this Steelers team. At least last week they fought back. This week there was no fighting in them at all.
Yeah, right. They came back against the Chargers, almost won that game. And I like Tomlin. I think he's a good coach, but I'm sick of that Steelers team. They're boring. Roethlisberger's not good. The line is horrible. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. They don't really have any upside. They need to kind of start over. And so even though I thought the Steelers would show up at least against the Bengals,
they always do. They always do. And I think Tomlin's a fantastic coach, and usually he's a great motivator. I think some of his decision-making skills need to be questioned. For instance, and this happened in the second half. I mean, the second quarter yesterday. They're already down 24-3. They have a 4th and 3 on their own 35. 4th and 1 on their own 35. Excuse me. Let me get it right. And they punted it away. And I get it. It's on their own 35. You don't make it. Well, it's over. Well, guess what? It was over anyhow.
No, that's really bad. I mean, the problem. It's really weird how coaches and even just people watching, they don't understand. They think the fourth quarter is when it's time to take chances, And I sometimes am like, oh, you're down 20. It's midway through the third quarter. That is late if you're down 20.
Yeah.
In the first half, if you're down 24 or 21, there's not that many possessions in a single game. It's you can't give them away. It's a finite number of them. I think, that as soon as if you're down 21, your chances of winning a game are so slim that it's time to act desperate now. Don't wait till the second half. Don't wait till the fourth quarter. And I see teams sometimes down 20 and they're driving and they're using the whole play clock. And you're using the whole play clock, dude. I know it's not the fourth quarter, but time is something that
a little urgency would be nice here.
Yeah. I mean, you want to score with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, not 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's a big difference when you're still down 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't the only one I saw like that, but and it's funny because the Bengals drove, then they got picked after they had a play that was called back after a kind of a questionable offensive holding or offensive pass interference on the other side of the play. Next play, Burrow gets picked. I'm like, oh, what a huge sequence. Then the very next play, Ben throws the pick 6. And now it's 31-3. Well, now it's really, really over. But that wasn't, there. I saw Sean McVay, who's supposed to be this dealer guy. No. He ordered up 2 punts in the fourth quarter, down 11. One of them 4th and 3, which you just.
Well, how about at the end of the game when this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I even wrote about this. I don't even write about this stuff anymore that much.
Yeah.
There was a minute left, maybe just under, and they're in field goal range, and it's 3rd and whatever.
Yeah, the run play.
And it calls a run play, and so. Dude, if they just thrown it into the ground, spiked it to stop the clock, they could have calmly got their field goal unit on, kicked the field goal with a minute left, kicked an onside kick. If they get it, they can actually drive for a touchdown. It took so long while the clock was running to get the field goal unit on 4th down where they couldn't spike it or anything, that by the time they kicked it, there was 16 seconds left. And so even if they had gotten the onside kick, it would have been Hail Mary time. And that was just so 101, dude. You just
and they had this bizarre focus. Okay, let's get a first down. What? That's not the goal here. The goal here is to score and score quickly. Either you're that far down, you emphasize getting the touchdown, or you take like you said, stop the clock, kick the field goal, give yourself some time. Either way would have either method would have been way better. And they did the absolute worst thing you could have done there, short of fumbling the ball. That was the only thing that could have gone worse is if they fumbled it. But it was bizarre. I mean, it was almost like you had a college mentality. Okay, we get the first down, the clock stops or something. There was no running the ball to get a first down there meant nothing, just nothing at all. And the 2 punts he ordered up in the fourth quarter ahead of that. Okay, I get it when it's 4th and 11, but you're down 2 scores against a team that has like 35 points against you. You're going to trust the defense? No, you can't trust the defense. You got to score. You had to have some urgency here. Unbelievable. There was a report circulating right before the games yesterday, that Stafford's banged up, and he's really hurting and all that. And I think there might be something to that. And maybe it's in that light. They're kind of like, okay, we're going to play it out, but then just put in the backup if that's the case.
Right. Either if your guy can play, your guy's got to play.
Right.
Rodgers might have to have surgery on his toe, but it's crazy. I don't know. I don't think he's going to have surgery because this is like the Super Bowl team. I don't know how long he'd be out if he had surgery on his toe.
Right. This is his last go. Yeah.
And this is like a Super Bowl. I mean, the Packers might be the best team in the NFL right now. And so it's kind of crazy. I mean, they've lost 3 games. One of them was the opening week. One of them was the Jordan Love game. And then the other one was like a coin flip against the Vikings. Like, this team is probably the best team in the NFL right now. And, I don't know how long he'd be out if he had surgery on the toe, but it's kind of like, that's the guy that that's actually hurting. That's the guy that actually might have to be, miss time, could be this week. So that's a huge story also.
It is. It really is. And it could be, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think he still will win the MVP, by the way. I think he'll overcome that. I don't know. We'll see. If the Packers do end up being the top seed and all that, then I think he might. Now, if Arizona ends up being the top seed, we'll see. It might be different.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to give it to him. I think they're going to be too pissed about immunization gate. I don't think they're going to give it to him. But I think he's the best player in the NFL right now. I mean, I think
these are the same football writers that kept Terrell Owens out in next year because they didn't like him.
They didn't like Terrell. It's all about, the personal thing is huge. And the thing is, like, I mean, I think he's the best player in the NFL. Like, if I have one quarterback right now, it's him. I mean, I think he is the whole package. Brady's good, but Brady's old. I mean, Brady, he's very decisive. He makes, good. He knows what he's doing, but like Rodgers is the guy with the touch, the arm, some mobility still. I mean, I think he's better. And Mahomes, is the wizard, but like that offense has been out of sync. He hasn't been playing that well this year. If I'm taking one player right now, it's probably Rodgers. And I'm trying to think who else can win the MVP. Like, I think Josh Allen would be a bad choice right now. I just think like he's played well, but he's not playing MVP football.
They have 2 games against the Pats. We'll find out after that. Yeah. I mean, I just don't think we need to weigh in on it. We'll wait until after those 2 games.
Even so, they just haven't distinguished themselves like that.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor has a case, but, you can't take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hand 26 plays in a row, whereas the Colts could do that with Taylor because they're idiots. But
yeah, they can do that. And I mean, and it's true. Like, the Colts are 6-6. Like, if you're going to be an MVP running back, you got to, first of all, you got to make the playoffs, but it's better if you're like 14-2, then you're like, okay, I'm the dominant running back on the 14-2 team. I'm MVP. But if you're like, 9-8 or 10-7, and you squeak in the playoffs on the 7th seed, it's kind of hard to get you the MVP if you're a running back.
Right. And it also happens to be like the second chair running back MVP behind Derrick Henry, and then Henry gets hurt. So, okay, now Taylor, you're up and you're the next guy. And Taylor's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But Derrick Henry was here and Taylor was there. And then everybody else is down here. It's funny how that, and it doesn't have that, that my shadow looms over the entire league sort of thing that Henry has, or that McCaffrey had in his peak year. And if you can't, and those guys, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for a running back to be an MVP. It really is, especially in today's NFL.
No, I think Taylor could, if the Colts, where the Titans are, if they flip flop, like if they say the Colts had swept the Titans in those games and instead of the other way around. I think Taylor would have a good shot. I think that there's just no quarterback playing that well. If you look at Rodgers last year, 48 touchdowns, 5 picks. I mean, it was a ridiculous year in 16 games. And you look at Lamar Jackson the year before and Patrick Mahomes the year before. These guys were just absolutely destroying the league. There is nobody even remotely close to those 3 seasons this year. There's nobody even close. Nobody's having that year. And so in a case like that, if there was a dominant running back who was carrying his team, which Taylor is the guy, but the team's 6-6. That you can't. So it will be a quarterback, I think. I don't. And even the Rams are 7-4 now. I mean, Cooper Kupp was the guy that I thought like might be able to like have such a ridiculous year, but they're just going to choose like one of the quarterbacks. I'm not. Right now, probably be Brady. I would say would probably win it if they ended it now.
Yeah, it won't be Justin Herbert. Unfortunately, I mean,
no.
He actually made some mistakes yesterday, but it was still the Chargers charging. I mean, they're committing these penalties that just kill drives. They had a questionable OPI on Mike Williams one play. They missed a field goal down 14-10, which meant that they went for it on fourth down the next time and didn't make it because, they made it a couple times and then still got stymied. It was just one of those things where everything just mushroomed. And then, of course, there was the pick six that ended that game, basically. But still, the 3 afternoon games were all really fun to watch. All sorts of stuff going on in each of those games. But the Chargers, they can't get out of their own way, and they have half an offensive line. The other half can't protect Herbert at all, and it's frustrating to watch because we all, hey, unless you're a Broncos fan, obviously. I actually had a pretty good feel about the Broncos going into this one. Their defense is still a pain in the butt.
Yeah, Broncos are good, and their offense isn't that bad, although Teddy Bridgewater did nothing. But you can run on the Chargers. And so the Broncos are a good run team. Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, you can just kind of smash them. And so if you have a team that you can run on, I think the running game has so been overlooked in this analytics era. If you have a team that can't run and can't stop the run, that team's just going to be in trouble all the time. They're going to be in bad down distances all the time. They're easy to plan for. You can rush them. You don't have to really respect the run at all. I think a team like the Chargers they're just never going to get there, especially you start to get to December, late November. They're just never going to get there with that kind of setup. You can't run or stop the run. Forget it. Yeah. I think you're pretty much, just dead.
Well, the 2 AFC North games yesterday, the Bengals were able to run and run and run. The Steelers couldn't get out of their own way, but the Ravens don't have a running game right now unless it involves Lamar. That's the thing. Every once in a while, Freeman breaks off some decent ones. Late in that game, they got some runs, and that was huge. But their offense is not the same right now. I mean, I don't think it's just a running back issue. I think Freeman's okay. I don't think their offensive line is what it used to be either, though. I just don't think that they can run right now. And that's why I think they get backed up. Now, keep in mind, too, I mean, Lamar, I don't know what version of him. There's Stephania Bell had a pretty good thing on the ESPN pregame show yesterday talking about players coming back from missing a game with an illness. There's a huge drop in their next game back. And it kind of came through here. Lamar was terrible. Mayfield was terrible in this game. It was an atrocity of a Sunday night game.
Mayfield's always terrible. The thing about Lamar is, and Stefania mentioned this on our show, was that he had COVID twice. Okay, you can get it twice. I think I had it twice. Okay, he recovered. But he seems to have some other non-COVID illness that's been lingering. And she was saying, what's going on with his immune system? Because this guy's, 25, 26 years old. This is not somebody who should be crushing these viruses like it's not even a big deal. And yet he's been sick a lot, to the point where he had to miss a game. I mean, who misses a game with it? I mean, if you had a bad flu, you couldn't play. But usually you play through, Michael Jordan's flu game or whatever that he had. I mean, most of these athletes will play through an illness. And so, a lot of people are saying, and Lamar said in the press conference, my throws were short. All his interceptions, they were weak. He didn't have enough zip on them. Yeah. And he might be a little weak. And it is something to get to the bottom of, because if he's not himself, the Ravens are done. And I do think the running game does hurt them. The fact that J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, both those guys are beasts. I mean, Dobbins not a beast. He's more of a skill guy. Edwards is a beast. That really made the Ravens tough to stop. But now that you don't have it, you just blitz. And you just hammer Lamar, and once in a while he'll bust a run,
or the crazy touchdown throw to Andrews where he was dodging Garrett and Curse and all that, and that was crazy. I mean, it's seeing. I don't know. You probably watched the short version. I don't know if they showed Curse throwing his helmet after that play. He was so ticked off. And Myles Garrett's just shaking his hand, man, what a play. But it's just it was crazy. That's what it took for them to score, though.
Right. It was just like a chuck that Andrews made a diving grab on. But, so we'll see. That's a huge story. But the Ravens are not the same. Without that power running game, without, the Ingram or the Peak Ingram or the J.K. Dobbins type, this team doesn't have, they're the 1 seed in the AFC right now, but I don't see them going anywhere. I don't see them beating, they could lose to anybody, and they could, win a game because there's no one that good, but I don't see them running their way through it. All I see is the Patriots and Chiefs right now. That's it. Those are the only 2 teams I see as real contenders.
Bengals, come on, Bengals.
We'll see. Maybe. At least they haven't established themselves as not being a contender. You know what I mean? I think maybe if the defense is plays stout, then maybe they could be.
But we were talking this way about the Titans 2 weeks ago. Shit can happen.
They lost A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry. I mean, that's
right. That's what I'm saying. Things can happen like that. Yeah. What happens if the Bengals lose Joe Burrow? Boom, done.
Anybody losing the QB. But I'm saying, as constituted now, to me, it's like Chiefs and Pats. That's the showdown that's looming. I don't take the Ravens seriously. I think they're too soft.
Yeah, you might be right about that. We'll see. Which is weird to say about a Ravens team. You just never.
They're a finesse team. They're not they do stop the run though. They are physical up front. They're just bad against the pass, which is not good to be. That's not a good weakness to have either.
Yeah. We owe you a couple of notes here. Let's go ahead and whip that out real quick. The NFL season is heating up, and Yahoo is going big on daily fantasy football this season. There will be a ton of big prize contests throughout the year on Yahoo, including their multi-entry contests now being shark-free. To celebrate Yahoo going big on DFS, as well as Yahoo Daily Fantasy becoming shark-free, Yahoo is giving all users the opportunity to claim free $10 in site credit. Users can take advantage of this free $10 site credit to offer to join any paid contest, including Yahoo's biggest contest, the weekly $1 million DFS NFL Baller Contest. The weekly $1 million contest features $1 million in total prizes, including first place receiving $100,000 and tons of overlay in prizes. Play daily fantasy football on Yahoo this season. Visit sports.yahoo.com/dailyfantasy/welcome to claim the free $10 offer to get started. While we're here, we're going to mention our friends at Thrive as well. Thrive is back for another season of fantasy football, and they're running huge guaranteed contests each week this NFL season. With Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game, like Cordero Patterson. Sign up today and get a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Here's how you claim your free RotoWire subscription. 1, visit rotowire.com/thrive. 2, deposit a minimum of $10 and receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. 3, play in your first paid contest and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Big thanks to Yahoo, big thanks to Thrive, and also big thanks to the Blue Wire Network for hosting our podcast all season long. We'll take care of our advertising business for today's podcast. All right, let's break down the rest of this slate. Dalvin Cook got hurt. Got to watch that one there. That San Francisco Vikings game was fun. A lot of stuff going on in that game, but losing Cook like that, that really sucks. The interesting thing to me is, I know Madison's the guy you got to pick up, but the kid that returned the kickoff return for a touchdown, his second of the year, actually got a couple carries in this game. And I got to look at it because pronunciation is going to be an issue here for me. But by the middle of the week, I'll have it. But for now, it's something to watch for a little bit. But Kene Wongwu, I think it's Wongwu is how you pronounce it. I think the N is silent, but this is 2 touchdown returns he's had, and now he had a rush for 7 yards. If you're looking for a tiny little upside, I think he might be someone you get because Madison's rostered everywhere, right? But you're trying to find the next guy. If Cook's got a serious injury, they're going to need a second guy.
And it's one injury to Madison away from being the first guy. And I think, everyone's like, thanks to, Lamar Jackson, like other guys are getting a chance to play quarterback with this style. How about thanks to Cordero Patterson? Get a kick returner in there. Get the guy the ball. Right. I mean, how many years did Cordero Patterson toil? And I always thought this guy is 6'3", 240, runs a 4.3. And every time he has the ball in his hands as a kick returner, it's like he's electrifying. And you can't get the guy the ball. Sometimes they hand it off like once a year and he gets a 50-yard touchdown run. It's like.
And it's Atlanta that frees him up.
Well, Arthur Smith, he might have something, he's the guy who freed Henry too. He's the guy who they were having Henry behind Deion Lewis, in Tennessee. They didn't know what they had. So, maybe one of these, if a guy can run a kickoff like that for a touchdown twice, I want the ball in his hands. I don't see why it's so complicated to say, this guy can have the whole defense chasing him and he can break through and get a touchdown, why that's not something desirable in your offense. And I understand why like the Devin Hesters and those guys didn't really work out very well. They're just so small. But these guys aren't, Nwagwu, whatever his name is 6 feet 210. That's not that style for a running back, but he's not some 180-pound guy that you're trying to, get the ball in his hands all the time. He could handle some carries.
So Atlanta looked terrible the last 2 weeks too, and I know you broke this all down when you're making your selection, but I think it's pretty funny that they came back and did this. That they found a way to unlock Patterson. I think Smith's actually a good coach. I think he's got some horrible parts. I mean, I think they've got an aging Matt Ryan. They don't have a successor in line, and they're actually kind of playing themselves out of drafting that. At least an obvious one, if there is an obvious one in this year.
Yeah, I don't think there is one this year. At least I'm told.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, look,
but they're 5-6 with this roster,
dude. They're Cordero Patterson, dude. Cordero Patterson. That dude. I mean, I love that dude. It's like Justin Tucker's a hero to me for the rest of my life after what he did. He always already was. Cordero Patterson. I mean, there's people who stepped up for the team of destiny. Destiny doesn't happen by accident. Andy Dalton, what an incredible drive to get that executed. I mean, Andy Dalton, a great player. He had
over 300 yards passing on Thanksgiving. It didn't seem like it, but
stepped up big. Whoever the offensive linemen were that were getting all those false starts, I really appreciate it. The offensive lineman that did the Yo Mama joke to Jadeveon Clowney's mother, who got the 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, that's the hero we didn't think we needed. Yes.
There's a litany of heroes, and the latest one, was Patterson. I mean, what a monster. He just stepped up, made those big runs. I mean, they probably don't win that game, or they certainly don't win it as easily without him. So I always love that guy. That guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame returner, and finally 10 years into his career, they're like, oh, maybe we can give him the ball too. And it's not Kyle Pitts. They're like, get the physical freak, the all-time physical freak the ball. Well, they did. Cordero Patterson, not Kyle Pitts. By the way, Kyle Pitts did nothing. He caught one first down that was kind of key. That has just been a weird thing that they can't just get him the ball. I mean,
but think about it. It's obvious. So look at that receiving core. It's terrible. I mean,
so what? Look at Devontae Adams. They get him the ball all the time. It's
like have an all-time quarterback, all-time great quarterback.
Well, Matt Ryan is an experienced quarterback who's won an MVP. You think he could get the ball to a guy that could run a route, move him around in motion. I mean, there's a lot of teams with a number one that is like so far away to number one, and whether or not like it's efficient, that's another story. But
also, Adams is an elite route runner. Let's maybe give Pitts more than a half a season in the NFL before we're kind of holding.
I get it, but just get him the ball. I mean, just it shouldn't be hard to get him, 11 targets a game, and 6 catches a game. I mean, it just shouldn't be impossible to do that, and yet it's like he's not even on the field. I mean, and
ever since Ridley went away, I mean, it's been very tough.
But it's also like, oh well, he's got to run routes. Why? He's 6'5", 250, and he runs a 4.4. Like, what kind of route does he really have to run? Just throw the goddamn ball to him. It doesn't matter if someone's covering him. It's like, at what point are you like, oh, he's not Deshaun Jackson. He doesn't have to be wide open to get the ball. He just needs to be, just lead him, throw it, let him make plays. They're not even giving him a chance to make a play.
Right. And I wonder if is that a failure of him to get open, or is it a failure of the play calling?
It might be Matt. Remember Julio never scored touchdowns for the Falcons, consistently.
Right.
And maybe Matt Ryan just doesn't like to throw into traffic. He just doesn't, because maybe that, it's easy to stay with Julio on a short field in the red zone more. And he just didn't want to make that throw where it was like, I know he's covered, but I'm going to throw it anyway. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Week 5, he went 9 for 119 and 1. Week 7 after the bye, 7 for 163. We're like, yeah, this is the generational prospect,
right?
And all that. And then after that, 2 for 13, 362, 460, 329, 226. Come on. It's just I don't understand the mystery of them. I think Arthur Smith is a good coach. I think getting 5 wins out of this crew is pretty amazing. I think that they were
just one win. There's just one win that matters, Jeff. I mean,
but that's right.
So this team was outscored 76-3 over the last 2 games.
I know.
We took them on the road.
I know.
We took them on the road. Okay, so
I know.
It's just
and you use the Bears on Thanksgiving. I mean, and they're objectively bad. They're talking about getting their coach fired before the game.
I love
it.
You
use them.
The thing is, the beauty of Survivor is once you use a team, of course, you never use them again. And you're like, thank God I don't have to use that team again. It's just a great thing. It's like,
I feel that way about Baltimore, by the way. I feel like I'm glad I've used them up everywhere. I actually, in one second chance pool I'm still alive in, I used them this week, and I was like, oh, please just get by. Just please get by. Oh God, thank God. But now I got to think about the next week. The team that, and you mentioned in your article, but the team that's like the Patriots is the Dolphins. That I'm starting to get more and more confident with them every week. And they're not pretty. They're not like they're not an aesthetically pleasing team to watch, but their defense is just beating the crap out of teams. They just pounded Cam into submission. And Cam was bad, but they couldn't protect him at all. He was just getting bludgeoned every time.
Never join a team and go full Darnold. He decided to go full Darnold. I was like, oh wait, it's Darnold. He's back. They've gotten Darnold back. It's Cam Newton Darnold.
So maybe the problem was the offensive line all along. I mean, Darnold's still bad, but
I think it obviously has gotten worse. The Dolphins are mini Patriots. They play better as the year goes on every year. Maybe Brian Flores is, he and Vrabel, the Belichick coaching tree was always a joke. It was like Romeo Crennel and who are the other? What was the guy? Mangini, the genius, Mangenius. There's a bunch. I mean, Joe Judge. There was a bunch of like real duds, but there was more than that. There was Charlie Weiss, right? Wasn't he like part of the?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of duds in there. What's his name? Bill O'Brien was Belichick, right? So there's a bunch of duds, and it was like, what's wrong with the Belichick tree? But all of a sudden, you have Vrabel and Flores, and you're like, oh, okay. This is bearing some actual fruit. And Flores, every year the team seems to get better. And this team was dead. They were like 1-7. They're 5-7. You don't want to play the Dolphins now.
No.
So,
the funny thing, I made Dolphins my best bet in staff picks. And I actually was pretty comfortably on the Pats, even though I saw other people like that spread's too big and all that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that game changed on one play. The Hilliard fumble. Me broke off that huge run.
Right. They were down 6. Yeah, I know. And I needed the Patriots to lose in Survivor too.
Right. That was a huge play. And also keep in mind this after Bullock had missed an extra point and missed a field goal. This game should have been 19-17 at that point.
Right.
And then it kind of got away from him late. But Tennessee, I mean, Vrabel may make some questionable down and distance decisions, but he's a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
No, getting them to play hard on the road in that situation like that without anybody as far as like players that could scare you, that's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, no, Vrabel and Flores are like the two that actually seem good. And who knows why it took this long, but those guys, they both, Vrabel has that like totally fearless, as you said, they'll play anywhere, they show up, and Flores has that sort of like improves as the year goes on. Figure out what you're doing wrong. I mean, part of it, they lost his quarterback for a couple of weeks. Part of it, they lost their best cover guys. But the defense is starting to play well. And the Dolphins and Patriots are like almost automatic, like every week. Just take them until the line gets out of hand because it's just a gimme. This week, well, you'll see on Guess the Lines tomorrow what the line is. It's Giants-Dolphins tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I haven't even looked at, be honest, I haven't even looked at the matchups. I know the Bengals host the Chargers, and
I looked at the matchups. I'm already plotting out like.
Of course you are. Of course you did.
Survivor. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You have to because you have to think about the future a little bit now. It's gonna be fun to see that there. Any other notes you want to talk about before we sign off for today?
No, that's good. I'm happy to be alive in real life. I'm happy to be alive in Survivor, and hopefully those two things are still the same next week when we do this podcast.
Let me throw one more game out there. We haven't even talked about your Giants hardly. And how they shut down Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have a problem with Hurts. They're begging him not to throw the ball now.
Yeah. Miles Sanders got hurt and he was running well. Yeah. I mean, they just kept throwing picks, and the Giants defense is pretty good, but it's not like, world beater. And I don't really know what his problem is. I mean, he's obviously a good running quarterback, but they need to design something that's a little better. It's like Ertz has been great after he left Philly. Goddard hasn't done much. They have Devonta Smith. That's it, right? Devonta Smith
and Dallas Goddard. I think
Goddard doesn't do much though. I mean, they barely get him the ball. So it's like they just haven't established enough of a passing attack. Like they were throwing all the time early in the year, and then they had success running it. And now, it's like they can't even figure out who to throw to. Like Jalen Reagor's a non-factor.
Rager. Oh my God, those two drops. Oh, poor Rager. I mean, and poor Philly. But either one of those drops.
Six people went out on that in my pool, so that was great. The Giants did me a real solid. Goddard. Let me look at what Goddard did. Goddard had one catch for 0 yards yesterday.
So is that good? No.
Yeah.
And they didn't even they didn't target Smith once on that last drive either. And I don't know, are like teams completely shifting coverage to him now? It might be because why else throw to Rager after the first drop? He was wide open right at the goal line. Even if he doesn't get in the end zone, it's still right at the doorstep there. They can score after that. They get the first down and all that. Oh, just what a mind-blowing way to end.
They just seem very herky-jerky. There's no like rhythm consistency to the offense. You have to when you see good drives, when a team makes a nice drive where there's a 6-yard run and then an out for 12 and then a jet sweep for 7. You see teams drive and there's a rhythm and the defense is off balance. I just never see that with the Eagles. It's like Hurts running around, maybe he'll scramble, then they'll take a sack. It's like there's just not that smoothness to their drives, and it's hard to win on just a fire drill all the time.
It is. It really is. The Pats have themselves a good kicker, Nick Folk. I think that's been under the radar how good
What a beast.
Been.
What a beast. I have him in one league. It's like I almost dropped him, and thank God I didn't. I mean, every week, the guy's like I think he's probably the number one kicker this year.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, it's the perfect setup. They're a good team, but they don't always finish drives well. So he gets a lot of chances. I mean, there was the Cleveland game and he only had one field goal, but that's because they were scoring so many touchdowns in that one, had 6 extra points. But you look at it, like 6 attempts yesterday, 4 against Atlanta, 4 against the Chargers a few weeks ago. And he's making almost all of them. Missed like a 52-yarder yesterday, but okay, whatever. You'll take that any day. But so, yeah, pretty awesome run by him. And when you get a difference maker there, it's really nice. It's such a huge thing. But they actually still have a bye coming up in week 14, so you might have to you'll have to replace them maybe in time for your fantasy playoffs too. Something to watch for there, depending on like what format you use.
I won't drop him. I'm gonna use but it's playoff time. It's easier to drop backups and stuff.
Right.
It's the FSGA league. I have the most points. I'm gonna be 8-4, but there's guys ahead of me record wise. But it's just a team that's just loaded. It's a 14 team league, and I didn't even have my first 2 picks were Zeke and CEH in that league, which aren't that good, but I got like McLaurin and Debo and and Josh Allen. I got a good. It's a good team, so that's a fun team. And Nick Folk has been carrying me.
Nice, very nice. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank WynnBET for their sponsorship. Thank you guys for listening. We got Jake and Joe coming up tomorrow with Waiver Wire Tuesday. And, of course, we'll talk a lot more about the team of destiny. Can't wait to find out what Chris is going to do in Week 13. So tune in all week long. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.